Hello, Susan Corbett, Custom Machine Quilter here with this unusually interesting log cabin quilt. This was a daunting challenge for me. Not that it was going to be complex, but see how simple it looks? And it was not simple because look at how tiny those little logs are. It's made on foundation paper that doesn't come out because it's too little. I stared at this for months and months and months and thought it through. I was grasping for a quilting scheme, and this is the only design that came to mind. This hand quilting book calls it Church Window. I never thought I'd do any of that little dense filler quilting in there, but that was the only idea that ever popped into my head after all the considering. And what made it challenging was all the decisions that had to get made. Which way are those arcs going to face? How close together or far apart? The spacing. Do I want it to fill up the whole band of color or only a part? Single line or double? Should I use rulers or just freehand it? I didn't think I had the right rulers, and I was shopping for ones that I thought might work. I considered finding a digital pattern. I guess this quilt really intimidated me. All I knew was that I wanted to put arcs in the bands of color, and with its deadline fast approaching, I thought, okay, it's just time to go in there and do it. And so I showed up at the machine and tried out all my rulers and see how this one has these great lines in it. And so it was wonderful to line up the vertical and the horizontal marks on the ruler. I liked how it didn't fill up the whole band of color. And initially I thought I was just going to do a single arc. The picture in the hand quilting book had the arcs placed differently, and that was the hang up. I just couldn't find a way to get that to work. So I let go of that and went for a different kind of placement. So you can see what I'm doing here. Quilt the arc and then do a little bit of backtracking so I can reposition it. So there's a little bit of overlap. It was a different game plan, but it yields kind of the same design. And then there were all kinds of other little decisions that had to get made. What happens when you turn the corner? And what about the spacing there? So I ditch quilted all the bands of color in between, in between the green band and the gold. Where that forms a line, I ditch quilted there with clear thread. And then I switched to a gold, shiny, thin polyester thread to do all the rest of the quilting. The client asked me not to quilt right around the perimeter of the quilt because of the way she wants to face it. This quilt will not have binding, it'll have a facing instead. So that was only a little bit tricky, but that was one more thing to think through and decide what to do. The thing with this quilt, it's not that it was going to need any elaborate quilting. It wasn't. The issue was more, how do I not mess it up? It's already pretty stiff and crunchy. It's not a quilt that's going to get any use. It's not a bed quilt. It's pretty small. It'll hang on a wall. It does not need a whole lot of quilting, but what quilting does it need? I didn't just want to do straight lines. I want to do something that would do it justice and not be boring. Something that would that would be a nice counterpart to all those angles and straight lines. So of course curves were going to be the right way to go. It kind of ends up making an overall design scheme, even though this is extremely custom. So here is a look at the quilt after one pass of single lines. And I thought I was through. And I ran it by my client. I'm like, do you think it needs another row? And I thought she was going to say no, and she said yes. So the unfortunate thing here is that I ended up backtracking more than I would have liked to. Had I known for sure I was going to do 2 lines, I would have quilted it a little bit differently. But in the end, I don't think it matters. The thread I'm using is so spindly. You see the line and not so much the thread. So to get the next row, the next arc that would nest perfectly, I used this other set of so-called rulers that came with the long arm. And I taped them together. At first I had them taped together with blue painter's tape, but I couldn't see the lines. So I took that off and replaced it with some clear strapping tape, packing tape, so that wouldn't, so those rings wouldn't fall apart. And those lines really helped a whole lot. I don't know if you can see it from this vantage point. There are lines. A thing I learned in my former career as a newspaper copy editor in page layout is the importance of registration lines. Where the lines are all going to meet up, right? Mark the center, mark the corners, the middles, and get stuff to line up. So I'm really grateful that registration lines are printed on rulers. That helps to line things up so much. So it was, for a design that appears to be so simple, this took up a lot of time. There was much more to it than meets the eye. Once I began echoing the arcs, I thought, well, what do I need to do there in the corner? The arcs that are in the corners did not get echoed because I thought there was already plenty of quilting in that area. And I didn't want to pile it on too much. So see how that's taking shape? That's looking really good. I like it. It's not too heavy. It doesn't, I don't know, but there again, I think somebody could really make a good case for, are those arcs too big? That's a matter of opinion. Doesn't the back look good? So bottom line, quilting is solving a puzzle, and this certainly was one, but it turned out great, and I love the way it looks. Thanks so much for watching.